Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I know once we start talking about this that people are going to say, yeah, that's me. How's your sleep going? You have some sleep challenges, maybe trouble falling asleep, or you fall asleep and then you wake up and it's hard to get back to sleep. So there's a lot of things that we do for that. You could take meds, melatonin, CBD, a lot of different things. And sometimes they work. Have you tried Reiki, energy healing, to help you sleep and support that? I've learned about Reiki. I've experienced it. It's wonderful just for cleaning out negative energy and just making you feel lighter and better, et cetera, et cetera. Had no idea that it can help you with your sleep. We're going to dig into that today. She is an amazing energy healer and practices Reiki to help people along the way. She's also into yoga and a lot of other metaphysical modalities, and she's the woman behind PLY Healing. Linzi Schreiner is back with us. How are you doing today?
Hi, Steve. I'm good. Very happy to be here.
Likewise, and I'm looking forward to telling everybody. I'm the one that suggests, well, you might want to try CBD for sleep. You might want to do this. You might want to do that. Not that I have major sleep issues, but I know this stuff works. Now I can say Reiki. Apparently.
Yep, you can.
How does this work?
So, how does it work with sleep? Reiki helps us balance our central nervous system. It takes us out of fight and flight and it puts us into rest and digest, or parasympathetic nervous system. It helps us work with that. And so Reiki helps bring us into a balanced state. It helps us process stored emotions and stored trauma in our body, whether you're conscious of it or not. You don't even have to believe in this stuff for it to work, because Reiki knows what to do and the body knows what to do. And so Reiki will work with your energy to help restore your parasympathetic nervous system into a rest and digest state so that you can get better sleep.
Wow. Eye opener here, because as I'm thinking of just a handful of people that have, in my world, that have sleep challenges, those are the people that struggle with certain past traumas in their life. I know it for a fact, but I never even considered that that could be getting in the way of their sleep.
Yeah. So our trauma lives in our body. That's why a lot of us don't remember some of our trauma, because the brain does such a fantastic job of blocking things out that harm us, especially if the trauma happened earlier in your life. But your body never forgets. And throughout our lifetime, the body is kind of like an old sponge sitting on your counter. It just continues to build up. And if we don't clean it out, if we don't, twist out the dirty dishwater, bacteria begins to build up and the sponge gets heavy and gross and unusable over time. And that is our body too. It stores everything we go through, every unprocessed emotion that you have had, every reaction that you have had through your life that you didn't speak outward. It doesn't go away. It makes its way back into your system and it settles there. And Reiki helps those things clear out of your system, and then in turn will help with your sleep. Do you mind if I explain what Reiki is in case any of our listeners
let's do
what
a
is
reset.
this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just to give you a high level explanation, Reiki is a gentle energy-based healing practice that helps bring the body and mind back into balance. In a session, you can receive it through distance. So you can do it online with a practitioner or over the phone. You also can receive in person, and it's something you get to keep your clothes on, and it's administered through the hands, either through distance, through just beaming it at the person, or placing hands on the body. And it works with your energetic centers and helps restore balance to those energetic centers. You don't need to believe anything about it specifically, but your body will know what to do and how to receive it, and it will restore rest and healing.
I can tell you firsthand, it works. And I'd say 90% of the sessions I've ever had have been virtual. Yeah. And as the person receiving Reiki, what do you need to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Get
You have to do
comfortable.
nothing.
Get
Yep.
comfortable. That's it. Relax. And it's not like
Right.
you're going to feel things. You might feel maybe a presence, or, I thought I felt something from my feet to my head to my feet once in a virtual session. Um, it was not even, it might have been in my head, but I thought, I think I'm feeling something. I really don't know. Point here is, it's not that you're going to feel pain. You're not going to feel afraid. You're not going to feel scared or anything like that. But I have to say, with this whole Reiki sleep connection, the people that I'm referring to that have sleep issues do have trauma, even one major trauma in the last 3 or so years,
Yeah.
and wakes up with nightmares from that. Um, Completely understandable, but I never even thought that Reiki could help clear that trauma out, the energies from that trauma.
Yeah. It's hard because our body processes while we're sleeping. And especially if we're stuck in that fight or flight state where we're constantly moving and grooving, we're not giving ourselves time to rest and digest, or we don't have time and we're triggered and in trauma mode, it's really hard to get out of that cycle. And so even though you're exhausted and maybe you've had a long day or even a stressful day, you're not thinking about your trauma, it can be activated while you're trying to sleep. And that's why you're having restless nights of sleep. It's why you're having nightmares. It's why you're waking up in cold sweats in the middle of the night. Or even if you fall asleep, maybe you don't sleep heavily. And so you're waking up frequently with lots of disruption in sleep. All of those things can be tied back to trauma,
Mm.
whether it's big T trauma or little t trauma, because it could simply be you've had a very stressful, activated day on the go constantly, and we hit the bed, we're tired, and you can't fall asleep. You just stare at the ceiling begging for sleep to take you.
Wow. And would it also apply to the things that we've talked before, those little T childhood traumas that, again, bullied on the playground, you're 5 years old. Could that potentially still be stuck within you? You're carrying that and potentially get in the way of your sleep?
Yeah, it can,
Hmm.
only if you haven't fully processed it. So when we're younger and children say things to us that are mean or we're bullied, especially if it activates a sensation inside of you that makes you feel unsafe, you automatically begin to form a story around that. And we believe what people tell us, what we hear over and over again. You begin to believe it and your body remembers it. And so, even if you're not consciously thinking of that event and you may have forgotten that it had happened, it formed something inside of you whenever that person was bullying you over maybe it's the way you look, maybe it's the way you talk, maybe it's the way that you dress. And so, you shifted something about yourself that felt innate to you, that felt natural for you, but you were getting made fun of. Therefore, it wasn't safe. You push that piece of yourself off to your side and it then becomes what we call the shadow self. But it's a piece of you that you've lost because you now believe it's no longer acceptable in society. And in order for us to be safe, I can't express that side of me. I need to put that side of me away. And that side of you wants to be seen, it wants to be part of the light. And so those things can come up while we're sleeping simply because it just wants to be seen again. It wants you to remember that part of yourself.
Wow. What about dreams? Like, I
Mm.
very rarely, we all have dreams. I don't remember them. I wake up maybe once in the last, it's embarrassing, 6 months. I think and I didn't write it down and I forgot it, but I did wake up having a dream, recalling some of it. Does it help with that?
It does, depending on if you truly want to remember your dreams. But Reiki, because it helps balance our nervous system, it also helps balance our energy centers. This is woo, but follow me here. We all have psychic abilities.
Hmm.
Every single person does. They're
Yep.
just untapped into, or we put them off to the side.
Should we just
Um,
to unwoo it for some, call it
yeah,
intuition, so then it doesn't sound
intuition.
so wooey.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound so wooey. Yes, I think that's a great explanation. So your intuition. And dreaming is a great way for us to process our life, our days, but we also
Hmm.
can receive intuitive messages through our dreams. And after you have received a Reiki session, your energy centers are aligned and they're clear. And so you're more susceptible to guidance from your higher self, from your higher power, whatever you believe in. And dreaming is one of the ways that your spirit guides, your team will communicate with you. And it's also a way that we process trauma. And so if you're having a reoccurring theme in your dreams, maybe the situation changes, but it's a consistent feeling or consistent theme. So let me give an example because I'm rambling. I have repressed trauma from my childhood. And growing up, I had a dream over and over and over again where I would be getting attacked by something. That something always changed, and I would always be hiding. And when I would try to speak, nothing would come out. No words, nothing. And I had that dream all the time growing up, different situations. Maybe I'd be in a different place. Maybe the character that was after me was different. But always I was scared. I was running. I was hiding, and I could not speak. About 4 years ago, the trauma came to the surface through Reiki, through very intense sessions, and hyper focusing on what is this core trauma that I can't remember. And when I did begin to remember, what I learned is that I've kept that quiet for so long, it had impacted my throat chakra. And so I was either over functioning or under functioning in this particular energy center, but I had not spoken my truth. And identifying this trauma started years of therapy and other things to help me process what happened to me. But the dream was trying to tell me that something happened to me and that I wasn't speaking my truth. And as I share that story and as I speak my truth, those dreams went away and the sleep issues I was having went away. And as a matter of fact, I would wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. every single night, disrupted sleep, scared. Like if anyone ever tried to wake me up, I would come up swinging and screaming, and I never understood why. Well, it's because what happened in the middle of the night,
Oh,
and it was around that time period of the evening. So my body remembered. My body was trying to tell me. I just didn't have the tools to figure it out or listen.
oh my gosh. Like the connection to the time of day. Amazing.
Right. It's
Wow.
pretty cool.
Well, like you said, the body remembers. And as we've talked before, it's in the cellular level that it remembers these things. It's not just my mind remembers it, it's your whole body holds on to that. Can I share something that I just had a picture of as
Yeah.
you were talking? So way back, couldn't even tell you how far back, but it was many, many, many years ago. I would have a reoccurring dream of me taking off in a helicopter. And the helicopter was almost like homemade, It was just weird, but that's what came up in the dream. It would be on the schoolyard, you know, big field and everything. I think I just made a connection why, based on what you just opened my eyes to, I got bullied a lot when I was a kid. And I think that dream was me saying, get out of here and in a helicopter and take off. And the dream would only last like a couple of minutes, but why would that ever come up? And it was always like on a field, and I believe it was the playground. And I've never made that connection until you just shared your story. I was hearing your story, processing it, and then got a flash of those two pieces going together. Wow.
That, that's why I share the story, right? Because every listener probably had a moment where they're going, oh my gosh, I've had this reoccurring dream for a long time. Is my body trying to tell me something? But even if
Mm.
you haven't experienced major trauma, Reiki can really help improve your sleep quality because you will be waking up fewer times. You'll have deeper sleep cycles so that when you are getting more sleep, you're going deeper into that REM sleep. So you're actually getting rest. It reduces anxiety and physical tension, which also distracts us from good sleep.
Mm.
It helps with emotional release. And sometimes that keeps unspoken or stuck energy, which is what you and I are really discussing right now. We both have had unspoken and stuck energy that can come through in dreams, but it eases racing thoughts and makes your night so much less restless. Like after you've received a Reiki session, I would pay attention to how you sleep that next night if you haven't already.
My gosh. Well, it stands to reason because anytime I've had a Reiki session, I feel relaxed, grounded, lighter, more clarity, all of that. But I probably slept really well that night and the night after that, and didn't even make that connection. I am so looking forward to texting people when we're off today exactly what we're talking about. Have you ever considered Reiki? And
Yeah.
the person I did describe, she's had Reiki a session or two here and there, but yeah, didn't really take it seriously. She needs a lot more than that with what she's got going on. But sleep is challenging for her, but for all of us, you need quality sleep. You can't function. And then I also never put the two and two together. Yeah, we're talking about the traumas, but like you said, anxiety, stress, just the normal stuff that we deal with in a day that's going to hamper our sleep. And we may be saying, yeah, what a day. I just, my mind is racing. I can't sleep. Well, instead of taking a med, do Reiki. What do you think, Lindsay, in terms of frequency? Um, how many sessions? How often? Everybody's different. I get it. But if
Yeah.
you want to be on a better path to sleep, what would you suggest?
It depends on your situation, what you're going through, what you're wanting to work through, and your budget, what you can afford. I always recommend once a month if you can.
Hmm.
It's just so powerful. Reiki will stay with you for a couple of weeks after a session. If someone is going through something very traumatic and needs a lot of support, I would say every 2 weeks. But ultimately, once a month would really, really help you because it activates your healing abilities within yourself. And so when you begin
Mm,
seeing a Reiki practitioner, the goal is not to always be seeing a Reiki practitioner. The goal is to wake up your inner healer within yourself so that you no longer need to receive Reiki from somebody else because we all have the ability to heal ourselves, but we don't know how to hold space for ourselves because we are in a world that's in fight or flight and is constantly making us think we need to be doing something, buying something, going somewhere. And that alone can be very stressful. So the last thing I want is for someone to be like, great, now I have to add something else to my plate. Yes, hopefully it can be temporary. Or you'll begin to go longer apart. I know I had clients where in the beginning I saw them once a month, maybe once every 3 weeks consistently. And then over time, it became, hey, I'm just going to come to you when I need to see you. Great. I love that for you. But they still come when they need to because you begin to recognize within yourself, you know what? I'm not feeling extremely balanced right now. I'm going to reach out to Lindsay and never fails. It's exactly what they needed because they listened to their intuition. Reiki's going to help you connect to yourself. Reiki's going to help you connect to your own healing abilities and the ability to hear yourself. But sometimes we need help to work through grief, burnout, insomnia, chronic stress. You need that support person to help you get to the level where you are safe enough within your body to even recognize that you are is what you're looking for. Like we always think that we need something to fix us. It's you, babe. You need yourself. That is what your body is seeking. That is what your heart is seeking. If you feel alone, if you feel lonely, it's because you've abandoned yourself. And I will help you come back to yourself through Reiki. It is the thing that brings you back into your wholeness. And I just wish more people knew what it was and how it worked, and that it's not this woo woo thing. It can be, but it also can just be so beautiful and calming.
what you just described, Lindsay, about Reiki is the most profound, best explanation I have ever heard. And I've done thousands of podcasts about it. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. Metaphysical. It's right there. And it was almost like for me, things I kind of knew along the way or knew, it just woke them up. Yes, we can heal. We can heal ourselves. I've witnessed it. I've done it.
I've done it. Yeah.
I forgot that it's almost as if you had a big snowstorm. Snow is all piled up everywhere. You can't even move forward. Reiki is the plow, pushing everything out of the way so you can get to your destination, i.e., you. Get back to you and find that clarity, find yourself. Um, Amazing.
Yeah,
It's
it
really,
is
really cool.
profound.
Yeah.
And I mean, even as a skeptic, I remember when I heard about Reiki for the first time and I didn't believe it. It's something that you have to experience yourself, to be honest. And not all practitioners are the same. And I hope that if you find a Reiki practitioner, I hope they're the right person for you, but don't give up on it if it's not. Um, just like anything else, even if you've done therapy before, not all therapists are for the right person.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, which is why I personally created something called Reiki connection calls or Reiki clarity calls, where if you're curious about it and maybe you'd like to see, hey, maybe you want to meet me. Who is this person? Do we vibe? Are we on the same vibration? Do I trust this person? Just schedule one of those calls with me and you'll get to know me. We'll feel each other out. And if it's not for you, no harm, no foul.
Hmm.
And if it is, we'll schedule a session.
Well, it is all about the relationship. And even though it's not like you're a therapist and you have to hear things from the other person doesn't even have to say a word, quite
Right?
honestly, not even a word.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
But it is an exchange of energy. So
Yeah.
it's got to feel right, if that even makes sense. And
You've got to feel
you know,
safe.
yeah. Well,
If you feel uncomfortable, if part of you is like, I don't know what's going on, you're not gonna, you will receive. It just won't be at the same level that you would receive if you were completely relaxed. And so it's about thinking about the time of day that you would want to have a session, when you would feel safe to receive. And it's about the practitioner's energy and how they make you feel. Because for me, for the clients I work with, I want them to be able to be completely themselves, be authentic to who you are, even if you're feeling a little fishy about what we're talking about, because if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel comfortable, we can't build off of that. So my number one thing with my clients is, do you feel safe right now?
hmm
Are you comfortable with us moving forward? And sometimes people have these amazing experiences where they see colors or they feel a loved one close or they feel sensations within their body. And those are always really fun. Also, sometimes folks just conk out on the table and go into a really, really deep meditative state where maybe they don't remember any sensations. Maybe they didn't have this catastrophic vision during the session, but they feel so much more balanced and relaxed. It's because that's what you needed. I don't dictate how your experience is going to be. I don't even want to try to, because Reiki already knows and your body knows what you need. And so it's really just about us getting out of our own way and bringing in your own healing and accepting that and receiving it.
to your point, I had an in-person Reiki session, went with a friend, and I went to sleep, and the friend said, "You realize that you were snoring very loud?" I'm like, I don't snore." "Well, you were now." And it's okay. It's all good. It was so, I even remember it. It was so calm and relaxing. And to your point about it being the right fit, hypnotherapy was also another modality that I used in my journey. So I suggested it to a, close relative, and the practitioner I suggested too. And a couple of sessions, maybe three, said, "No, no, it's not working. Doesn't do anything." I know that they weren't open to it at the time. I know their
Yeah.
personality. I know exactly. I'm 1 billion% sure that they weren't open to receiving the healing. And yeah, that
Yeah,
can happen with Reiki too, to a point.
it can.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of internal family system?
Yes, I have.
I'm obsessed. I'm learning about it. I love the concept. And for listeners that don't know what that is, internal family systems is this therapy concept that we have multiple parts of ourselves inside
Yes.
that makes us up as a whole.
Yep.
And so if all of ourselves, all pieces of us are not open to trying something, then it will not work until you work with that piece of yourself that maybe isn't open to it. And
Hmm.
it's that same, and there's theories that show that it works that way with medication. So maybe someone has depression and medication just isn't working for them and they've tried and tried and tried. There's probably a piece of you that isn't open to that medicine for whatever reason. Um,
It is pretty
and
fascinating, isn't it?
it's so interesting. And I love correlating that back to Reiki too, because Reiki works with all parts of you
Hmm.
and helps bring all of those parts in synchronicity and helps us see those parts we've been ignoring. We've talked about the shadow self in this episode and a few others. And I kind of think of the internal family system as shadow selves of our little pieces of us that got hurt along the way and are just kind of stuck in that trauma mode, trying to keep us safe. And Reiki will help release that. But if there is a piece of you that isn't totally open to trying Reiki, yoga, hypnotherapy, it may not work for you because you just have to check in and go, do I feel like this is something I want to do? And start listening to yourself. And if there's a part of you that says no, that's okay. There are so many other ways you can heal.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's a part of you that is saying yes, but there's a thought in the back of your head that's like, I'm kind of scared of this, examine the why, but still move forward with the yes. But it's about listening to ourselves. And Reiki has been such a great tool for me personally to begin to listen to myself instead of all of the noise that surrounds me on a daily basis. It helped me transition from being an extreme people pleaser to the point of self detriment to now holding my boundaries strong, still loving others, but compassionately putting myself first.
You just described me. I'm not even kidding. And that was, that was a wake up call for me. And the internal family systems, just to make it even 100%, even clearer.
Yeah.
It's not multiple personalities. This is not what we're talking about. It's different parts of us that need different attention. And that IFS identifies it. Linzi, what's the best way? You said you have the clarity call, discovery call.
Yep.
How do we do that?
So my website is www.plyhealing. I believe Steve and his team will link that for you in the show notes. Hop on there and you can hit contact me and you can send an email directly to me or you can schedule a clarity call and I would love to meet with you.
Spreading the word as soon as I press the off button here. I am not kidding. And that one person I'm referring to, I feel like I've got juicy information for them.
Yay, I love that.
Yeah, because they struggle all the time. And it's like, I just went to the dispensary. I got a different CBD. Or, okay, this is a true story. And this is why I do Reiki. She went to a place, got a tincture to sleep, was misinformed, took too much.
Oh, no.
She was down for the count. There was 10 servings. Didn't read it. The person said, yeah, it's a single serving. She had half of it. She was like, I didn't hear from her. I got worried. Like, are you okay? What's going on? She in bed for like a day and a half because of that. Just took too much. Didn't realize it. Throw that away. Reiki.
Reiki is a good way. And sleep hygiene, which we didn't get to, but sleep hygiene helps too.
Yeah. Thank you for today. Once again, your website?
www.plyhealing.com.
Linzi, thank you for the wake up. And no pun intended. I don't want to wake up. I want to go back to sleep.
Thank you for the wake up. Now let me help you sleep.
Exactly. All right. Have a good one. We'll catch up soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Ooh.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.